Hi, it's Kathy from Raven Vintage. Welcome to day 37 of 100 Days of Envelopes. I have my book ready to go. I glued in a page already, and this was my practice run. So what we're going to do today is a gusseted. We're going to do an envelope with a gusset. So I don't know if you can see it there or not because it's glued in. But the idea is to make more room in your envelope for storage. So we're going to gusset the sides of the envelope. So let's get started. It's pretty simple. I have pre-cut my pieces just so that I'm not taking too much of your day. I have my envelope ready. The one I'm using is, the standard one I've been using is like a greeting card size. It's approximately 5 by 6.5. So they're all a little bit different sizes in that box that I have full of envelopes. But what I've done is I have trimmed off the edges very thin. I used my trimmer, you could use scissors, just so that we can open the envelope right up like that. We'll get rid of those. And I have pre-cut my pieces. Like I said, I did a practice run, so hopefully this goes pretty quickly. So I got this idea from just a comment yesterday, actually. So I thought, oh, that's one I wanted to try. So let's just do that one right now while it's on my mind. The idea came from Deborah Kay. She said the one that we did yesterday, she said that would be really great if you could put a real family photo or something on the outside and then store extra ones in the pocket. So let's say you went on a trip and you had a picture, say, in front of Disney Castle. So you put that picture on the outside and then you open it up and you could store more photos from that trip in here. And then you could do a little journaling space here about your trip. You know, what the date was, what the weather was, who went, whatever. That's a neat idea. So thank you, Deborah Kay, for suggesting putting a real family photo on there and then storing, or maybe not even necessarily a family photo, just maybe it's a pet photo or something. And I thought that was a great idea. So thank you, Deborah, for sharing that, Deborah Kay. And that's where the gusset idea popped into my head. So we're going to make one that has a lot of room to add extras. Maybe not even just photos. If it was a vacation page or a holiday page, you might want to put in some tickets or something from a sightseeing tour or something you went on, or a receipt, or who knows, all the little things that we collect when we're, your tea bags or whatever from your lunch. So let's just start gluing things down just to get started. So this I had picked for here, so this should be pretty simple. I'm just going to put my finger here so I know where to stop gluing. This is so much easier when the envelopes are open like this, to glue things down. So some of you in the comments have been telling me where you're from, and I love that. So we have a few people from all over the place, far out west, way down south, some that are actually not that far from me. It's funny the way, if you look at the map of Canada and the US, where you could be south, like in the US, but you could be, further north than me. It's kind of neat to look at that. So I love to hear where everybody's from. Okay, so that part was easy. So I had that pre-cut, just trying to save some time. I'm going to grab my ruler so I can do that envelope crease nicely. Looks good. How does it look on this side? Good. Now I can see where I need to trim off some of that. So let's do that right now. So I'd like to say hello to Connie Birch from Texas. Hi, Connie. I know you've been here a while watching. Thank you. So thanks for telling me where you're from. way down in Texas. And then also from Texas, from Weatherford, Texas, is Rita. It must have been a Texas day yesterday. And then back here in Canada, all the way out west to Chilliwack, BC, we have Leah Wolf. Leah, I know you've been here a while as well, for a while also, so thank you for letting me know where you're from. Appreciate that. And then Annette Haley's pretty new. She's from upstate New York, so she's practically my neighbor. Okay. So hello, ladies. Connie, Rita, Leah, Annette. And then some other folks that have been enjoying the envelope series. Shirley loves horses. Mary A, and then Deirdre, Kimberly, and Sherry. Thanks. I always love to hear from you guys. I appreciate that. Slowly getting to know who everyone is. Okay, so that's glued down. And then on the top, I thought it would be nice to glue this now while we have this open, because it would be kind of neat to see as much of this as possible. Whereas on the one I did earlier, I just put a little thumb notch there and glued it straight across for some stability. But I think we're going to be okay. So let's flip this way now. Let me just double check that this is going to be in the book the right way. Yes, I want it to open to the right. So I'm just going to flip this over so I can put some glue on here and glue this down. And then I picked blue, the one marriage certificate that's mostly blue. I think it's in kit number 1. Looks like this, except this one's all aged. But that's the one I chose. So let's add this. Whoop. Oh wow, I need to trim my side. I might need to trim my side a little bit. Didn't quite glue that properly. But I don't know if you can see the lines, but I'm just going to trim right along the envelope itself. And I am just using, my printables are just on regular multi-purpose paper, copy printer paper, 20 pound, just a really light paper. So I do most of my printing. I also print on 28 brighter white paper, a little heavier. But for the most part, from my test prints, I'm doing just regular 20 pound paper. Okay, so this didn't quite reach, which is just fine. I want to snip those anyway. Okay, it's looking great so far. And then when this flap closes, I want this on there like that. And then I want it to wrap around just a little bit. So I'm going to trim some of that off right now. I just like the clean edge when you wrap, when you're gluing something, just so it doesn't lift on you. So it's nice just to overlap a little bit when you know it's an edge that's going to be moved around, because this flap will move back and forth. Make sure I get this the right way. Yes, this way. Well, it has to be, Kathy. Okay, and then we can trim off the excess. So let's see. Always best to, when you're, I mean, I think it goes without saying, but go a little bit bigger so that you can trim back rather than too small. That's why I don't like measuring, because by the time you glue something or fold something, our measurements aren't always that accurate. Well, the measurements are accurate, but then the paper changes when the measurements change as we fold, and different things. So, okay, so let's get that crease again. Okay, so I've got a little bit of the envelope showing there, so I will trim that. A little bit of the white, not much. This can be straight. There's a little notch there. And since this is cut right now and not glued shut, I am just going to trim off that white, just so I can sleep at night. I love these little precision scissors. These are Martha Stewart brand. I got them at Michael's. So sharp. Let's call them my tinies. There. Looking very pretty so far. Okay, I'm going to go ink those edges and I will be right back. So we're back and I have these pieces pre-cut. These are 3 inches wide and they are just the height of my envelope. When I talk height, I mean if it's looking at you the normal way, this height. In this case, I guess it would be width. this measurement, you call it what you want. So they are the same height as this, or the same width, whichever you want to call it. This looks like it's a little bit long, so I can trim that, but they are 1, 2, 3 inches wide. Okay, so I have 2, and I picked blue to complement this, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So you can use a scoreboard if you wish. I'm just going to fold, so I'm just going to fold this in half like that. Get some really nice creases in there, and then we're going to fold this flap down and meet it to this edge here. Just a quick finger crease and then do a nice sharp crease. We'll flip it over and do the same thing. You can up or down, whichever. Just meet this edge at the folded side. So we're going to glue this side first, and I'll tell you why in a second, but let's get the other one done. So just in half, get a really nice sharp crease, and then fold down. Another sharp crease, flip it over, same thing. So what you're going to end up with is you want the white side glued to the inside of the envelope on both parts. So this will glue here, and then when we fold it and glue down, the white parts are going to be what you put the glue on. And then the pretty stuff is on the inside, like this. So let's just give that a little ink right now. You could do it after, but it's probably a little bit easier to do it right now. This one you won't, oh well, you might see. Okay. Now I'd like you to glue it. We're going to do this flap first before we close it. We're going to do this one first so that we can trim around. So let's grab our glue and let's glue the envelope and not the accordion. Just to there. So really it's this, you just want it right to the edge. So if it's directional, I don't think it really matters, but now that I've folded it up, the text is upright. So it might have looked upside down to you for a second, but, and then this one will ink as well. Nothing crazy. Copy. You could do more folds if you want and make it a bigger accordion. So you would want to start with a piece that's perhaps, you could fold these in half again, or you could start with a wider piece, wider than 3-inch. It's up to you. So again, you want the colored side facing out and then the white stuff facing in. And we're going to, are we upright? We want to be upside down this way, like this, so that when I flip it back, my text is upright. Okay, just get yourself situated. So again, the white side is facing inward and the colored side is facing out. Okay. And then just make sure you are not going to interfere with the fold and line yourself up on the edge here. That looks perfect. Oh, over a little bit, that's okay. Okay, so when this goes down and we glue this down, you can see that those are poking out. So this is a good time to trim this now. I learned my lesson from the last one, so I'm just going to trim with the shape of the envelope. The whole thing. Now, if you want, you don't need to trim this back piece if you wanted it to stay square, but I kind of like the look when we glue it down. Okay, so far so good. Now I see I'm getting caught a little bit here, so no harm in trimming this back because you won't see this part. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off there and a little bit off. Grab the whole thing. There. Just make sure that you can fold it easily. Okay, and now don't glue that, glue this. Glue the white part so you can see what you're doing. And you can do them both at the same time. So it's not so, it's again, it's pretty easy once you know what to do, right? It's not a hard project, pretty simple. So this bottom part here, I'm going to burnish. Turn it around, and the bottom piece, I'm going to burnish down. There we go. Okay, look at that. So now you have a gusseted envelope. I like this pretty shape here because we cut it. Probably shouldn't pull it just yet. Let the glue dry a little bit. But look at the sides. Isn't that pretty? And so you just gusseted your envelope so you've got a little bit more room to add your goodies. Now, if you want to, we can see the white, so we can maybe try to get in there with our ink a little bit. Oh, that will help. Nobody wants to see that. So if you use double-sided paper, that would take care of that, wouldn't it? But there we go. There's your gusseted envelope. So you have all this extra room now to put more goodies in there. So again, Deborah K, thank you for the idea that spurred this idea. And now I'm going to glue this into my book, and I'm going to make it a top loading pocket. So I'm just going to glue the two sides and the bottom. So I'll hold it here. I think this blue one is my favorite out of all 4 of the marriage certificate kits. And then of course there's the bundle, the wedding bundle. So I'm just going to try to match this one up to the one I did this morning. Those are great. Now you could put a closure on that if you wanted to. We could put something in where we could tuck that in a bit. So because it's gusseted, there's lots of room. room for all these guys. So much room. Like you could put so much stuff in here. I can keep going. I can keep going. There's so much room, and it's still pretty roomy in there. Look at it. Just so much room. So if you had a dimensional item you wanted to store, you could put it in there, no problem. So yeah, now this is begging for a closure of some sort, isn't it? I've got this 1-inch kind of medallion looking one. So let's just find something done on cardstock. And then I'm going to try to get just this wording in here. Yeah, it's pretty. And then we'll ink that up. So we just want to glue the very edge of this in kind of a semicircle, like a moon, a crescent moon, like that. So then there's room to tuck that in. That'll hold it. You could do a bigger one if you like. It doesn't even have to be a circle. You could do a rectangular piece or something as well. I fit quite a bit in here. I'm just gonna hold that right now. Look at all the stuff I put in there. That's fabulous. And then also we have the room at the top for, we did a top loading. You could do a side loading as well, but here I just did a top loading pocket for that one. Wonderful. That's a great project. I love that one. So this is day 27. It's got some scraps there. Space that's here. So day 27, we did a gusset. Perfect. Love it. I'm just going to glue the top and the bottom. Plenty of room for that peak of this, although I hate to cover it up because it's so cute, but it does kind of want a closure, doesn't it? So I'll just hold that there for a second. You can still see the angel peeking out there a little bit. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in the next video. I don't know if it'll be a reel or if we'll be here on YouTube. I'll try to do more on YouTube. I think I've got a little more time now, so I'll try to do more of them on YouTube instead of reels. That was just a time constraint thing for me, but I've got a little bit more time now, so. Okay, well, I will see you next time. Bye.